Hi, I'm Keith Fenwick. I'm hoping to show you a wide range of tips that will help you in your development as an artist. So let's start by showing you the basics on how to paint a sky. I'm going to use the sky and texture brush, and I'm going to initially apply a simple wash. I'm using raw sienna. I don't want it too dark. I just want a little hint of this colour showing through. I haven't stretched the paper, I'm just wetting it. Now we're going to rinse the brush, put in some cobalt blue. Don't forget this is watercolour. If it looks right when it's wet, it's wrong, because when it dries you can lose up to 30% of your colour. So all we're going to do now is keep the brush pressed down and have a good wiggle. Don't lift the brush off. Put a little bit of cloud down here, look, a little bit over there, a little bit there. Then all we do is turn the brush sideways and we just sweep it across like that to blend the colours in. A little bit across there. Perhaps we'll add a little bit of Payne's Grey to the mix just to darken the colour. That's a bit too dark. Appears you to take a bit of time just to... That's all right there. I'm putting the dark clouds on this side to balance the trees on the left hand side. Squeeze the brush, just gently take that across like that. Use a bit of tissue and we'll just put in a little bit of cloud. I'm not wiping, I'm just dabbing and shaping a bit of cloud in there. Look, it's as simple as that. You can do it. I'm just softening that there. I think that will suffice. And there's our basic sky. Now that wasn't difficult, was it? Let's paint an evening sky now. Again, using the sky and texture brush and a bit of raw sienna, I'm going to wet the paper. More water required. I'm just taking off the surplus. Right, now we want some blue. And we'll brush some blue clouds over this side. A bit more blue. Just a touch of red added to it. This is alizarin crimson I've added to it. Not a lot. I'll have all the shepherds out. And over this side, on the left, we'll add a bit more red. Get a nice rich purple colour. Bit more blue. That's what I'm after. Let's just take that across there like that. A little bit over there. And then we'll just turn the brush sideways and sweep it across like that. Bit of colour over there perhaps. You can't just put one colour on one side and not a hint of it on the other. And I'll come to the round brush, take the surplus off. I'm just going to spread that down there. And then with a bit of tissue again, we'll put some clouds in there. We just dab, turn it, a bit over here. I just need to spread that down there. We don't want to leave a harsh line. Bit of clean tissue. And we'll just take a little bit in there. If you get a bit of fluff coming on, don't scratch it up with your nail, whatever you do. We need to dry it now, and then we'll clean the sky up. I've dried it, so I'm just going to take those bits of tissue that's come off and take that hair off, spread that down there, and there we are. There's our finished sky. I want to show you the technique now for painting rain clouds. It's quite simple. I'm going to wet the paper first of all. It's got to be very wet. Now I'm going to mix a little bit of Payne's grey with a bit of raw sienna, and I'm going to do a line of paint there. I'm just dabbing it on, look. And now I need to leave a gap. And all I've got to do now, look, is take up the board and let it run. If it doesn't run where you want it to, coax it. I'm going to drop another little bit in there. I'm just dabbing a bit of colour in there, look. And then we'll let it run again. Oh, I don't want to be out in this storm. But we now have to leave it to dry. But we mustn't dry it with the hairdryer. Otherwise we'll blow the shape out of shape. We don't want that. We want to retain the form. So we've allowed the paint to dry to retain the shape. Cool, I wouldn't like to be out in those rain clouds. It's time to paint some mountains now. It's important when you're painting mountains that your brush must follow the structure of the mountain. You know what, I've always got tissue in my hand. I use that to control the wetness of paint on the brush. So first of all, I'm going to do the distant mountain. I'm using a little bit of raw sienna just to shape the mountain. I'm using my round brush. This is just to wet the paper. Now I've got a bit of colour mixed there, a bit of red, and get a bit of purple, a bit of red and a bit of blue. We're going to just whip a bit of colour. I'm using the side of the brush, not the point of the brush. I'm just using the side of the brush, sweeping it up like that, look. We'll pick out a few peaks at the top here using the same colour. We'll rinse the brush. And we just, I want this distant mountain to be light in tone. As I come forward, add a bit more dark colour in here. I'm using a bit of blue and a bit of red. Just use the side of the brush and sweep that down, following the structure of the mountain. Bit more over there. We'll add some more colour to the base in a minute, but before this dries I want to show you a little technique for shaping the peaks of the mountain. I want a little bit darker up here on this mountain, adding a little bit of burnt sienna to the mix, just to darken the colour. This has got to be done while it's wet. Sweep that down like that. Then I'm going to get a bit of tissue and I'm going to shape it to a tight wedge. I want a nice tight wedge there, and I'm going to use that to remove some paint to show a few light bits on top of the mountain. Must be a tight wedge. Now we need to put more colour in the bottom here, so we use a bit of burnt sienna. And we'll just twitch this up like that. Little bit of sap green. Bit more raw sienna. Just put a variety of colours in there. And then I'll just play the violin. I'll get the tissue and I'll just wipe down to get rid of the end of the brush strokes like that. Then we have a darker mountain in here. So I use a 3/4 brush, and using a technical term, we'll splash it on all over. Bit of burnt sienna, a bit of Payne's grey. That'll give us a dark brown umber type. Just putting a bit along the bottom of that mountain like that. I'm going to pick out top of this closer mountain. Bit more Payne's grey, bit of red. That's what I want, look. And then with the Wonder Knife, I'm going to just put a few little rocky outcrops there at the top. It should be a third dry before we do this. It's still a little bit wet. You can soon tell when it fills in. Don't want to overdo it, but I want to match the rocks on the bottom. Little bits there. And we need to dry that now. So there's our rough impression of mountains. I've done this in a few minutes. What I'm trying to do is to show you the techniques. If I was doing a real painting, I'd obviously spend a bit more time on it.